Yesterday, we had some new news about Trooper Proctor. He had indicated that he was going to appeal the decision of his termination, and well, he's appealing the decision of his terminations. I saw a lot of you like, how in the world is Proctor appealing he's been fired? Right. He has different types of civil service protections in his job, and so the police union is appealing with him. So from NBC Boston, Michael Proctor's appeal over state police termination moves forward with hearing. Trooper Proctor does have the right to appeal the decision, and those appeals are paid for by their union. Their union is who is pursuing this forward. They might be pursuing that on grounds for Trooper Proctor, but also oftentimes, and I can't say all the time, oftentimes unions will pursue this to not set a precedent that this is grounds for termination for other officers who come forward. So lead Karen Reed investigator Michael Proctor's effort to appeal his firing as a Massachusetts State Police trooper continues. He appeared at a virtual hearing on Tuesday. So yesterday while we were streaming, he was in court, and we heard him talk about this in the episode where I covered some of the interview clips. Trooper Proctor was talking about the fact that no one's ever fired for personal texts. Proctor was fired in March after an internal investigation announced in the wake of Reed's first trial sustained allegations of misconduct, including over derogatory text messages, sharing information with people outside the department, and drinking alcohol on duty. Right. It's not just the text. The texts are the tip of the iceberg. Tuesday's procedural hearing was part of his appeal to the state's Civil Service Commission. He has civil service protection in his job. There are procedures. It is not like working in the civilian sector where your job contract and state laws generally just cover what the employment relationship looks like. There are additional and different protections in government employment, including civil service protection. Today's procedural hearing was part of his appeal to the state's Civil Service Commission, an independent body that adjudicates issues involving state and local worker discipline, layoffs, alleged violations of state civil service law, and more. So that's going to cover all different types of employees who are protected by civil service protection. He told Dateline last month he wanted his job back. Quote, "Have you ever had a moment, a poor lapse of judgment, when you're just airing something out on your personal phone?" he said in an interview. Proctor is trying to rewrite history here. We saw him testify in trial 1. We saw more of the texts in trial 2. Those things were witnessed in real time by hundreds of thousands of people. And I'm not exaggerating at that point when you look across all of the places people were watching this trial. So it continues saying state police have said that they were confident the evidence against Proctor was sufficient for civil service to affirm the police chief's decision to terminate Proctor. I don't disagree with them. Colonel Jeff Noble, who leads the department, briefly addressed Proctor's appeal in an NBC 10 Boston interview last week. He remains terminated at this point, and I certainly understand that he has every right to go through a process. And I understand that that process is ongoing. That process does not include state police. The hearing before members of the Civil Service Commission on Tuesday afternoon was made public following a request from state police. A commission lawyer told NBC 10 Boston recording was not allowed, but at least somebody could go. It's interesting that state police requested that it be made public. If they are serious in looking at how to enhance public trust, transparency is probably going to go a long way. And transparency is going to be a part of this. Dressed in a suit and tie, Proctor spoke briefly as the meeting began, saying, "Good afternoon, sir," to Commissioner Chair Chris Bowman. The meeting was procedural, reviewing how the appeal will unfold. A full in-person hearing is scheduled for mid-August, and checking in on a disagreement over evidence the lawyers for Proctor and state police were seeking in the case. The lawyers said they had reached an agreement before the hearing involving a trip to a police facility together to pull records they were seeking. Quote, "The good news is I believe we can work through as much of these discovery issues as exist," Proctor attorney Danielle Moynihan said. "The only downside is I believe it's going to take longer than we anticipated." Former state police trooper Michael Proctor was the lead investigator into John O'Keefe's death. He was fired after unprofessional text messages he sent came to light in Karen Reed's first trial, among other things. Bowman stressed that it would be difficult to postpone the August hearing dates, at least for today. What I'm saying is try and continue these cooperative efforts that we are grateful for. Try to move heaven and earth to get this done. Yeah. Civil service doesn't want this to linger either. They want this to be done. We need to decide what evidence is being presented, and we need to have a hearing. Proctor's lawyers also confirmed to Bowman that Proctor's information has been listed by the Post Commission, which certifies state and local law enforcement officers. The website lists Proctor, who remains certified as an officer in Massachusetts without a law enforcement agency. Reed's name briefly came up in a discussion about how to limit the scope of requests for emails to be included as evidence. The Reed case has caused other fallout at Massachusetts State Police. Proctor's supervisor, Yuri Buchanan, was reassigned. On Tuesday, the department confirmed another trooper involved in the case, David DeChico, was moved out of the office as well. So that was confirmed yesterday. I had seen a lot of rumblings about it. Y'all had seen a lot of rumblings about it. I had not seen it confirmed, but there it is. Confirmation buried in the last sentence of this article from NBC Boston. Trooper Proctor is appealing his termination. They're going to be back for hearing in August, and we will see what the Civil Service Board decides. This is out of the hands of state police. I would speculate that his lawyers are probably coming to this through the police union supporting him in this appeal. Remember, the police union is a separate entity from Massachusetts State Troopers. Massachusetts State Troopers had said, we are not involved in this, and asked for the hearings to be open to the public, which might go a little bit of a distance in transparency and rebuilding some trust. It's going to take more than that, but it might do some lifting there. And we will see what continues to happen and what decision civil service makes on whether or not Trooper Proctor will get his job back, because he still is a post-certified police officer. He still can be hired as a police officer. He didn't lose his certification. He lost his job with this agency. And that was pointed out well by NBC 10 Boston. So when that goes back to hearing in August, we'll be talking more about Trooper Proctor. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss updates on your favorite cases, you're going to need the Law Nerd app at lawnerdapp.com. That way you can stay in the loop on the cases that matter most to you, and you never know when you're going to catch feelings for a new case. So make sure you get it for free on iOS and Android. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a Law Nerd.